Welcome to BARI Banter, where we talk everything bariatric surgery with the people that know it best, the patients. I'm Shannon, and I'm here with my co-hostess with the mostest,
Lita. So sit back, relax, and remember, sip, sip, sip.
Oh, hey there, young Lita. How are you this fine Friday afternoon?
Oh, it is Friday.
Wow,
Yeah,
you had a moment there.
Yeah,
You're right.
I was like, well, no, it's Tuesday. No, it's still Friday.
It has been one of those weeks,
Yeah.
especially because my birthday was in the middle of the week. It's kind of like a weekend.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
What's new in the life of Alita?
Not much. I just had a laugh because the poster fell off
behind me, yeah.
Just as Shan was pressing record, the poster fell off and made this big noise. And I'm just laughing because I was listening to the radio this morning and a news presenter said something about a tennis player saying something about COVID. And in the background, you could hear one of the presenters being like... And people on the text line started texting him being like, we heard you laughing during the news report. And I was like, yes, that's what I was trying so hard not to laugh just then during the intro.
I thought about doing like a bloopers reel. Like the amount of times we try to say something, it doesn't come out right, or we say the wrong thing or whatever it is, or something like a poster falls off. We should just have
we need to have a Bari Banter episode.
Yeah, I'm full of bloopers.
Yeah,
I'm a walking blooper.
Yep.
But apart from the bloopers, what else is new in the world of Alita?
I had an update on my womanly situation. Is that what I'm calling it? My ovaries and my...
I guess.
Yeah,
it's not really a man thing.
So for those of you who've been tuning in from a little while ago, I had a problem with my whole fertility sort of issues, and I was post-menopausal at the age of 32. But I've been doing a few things and getting a few things back in place, and my gynecologist, I had some blood tests done at the beginning of the year, and
She had them done or you had them done?
I had them done. She read my blood
she's
tests.
okay?
Yeah, she's fine. Cool. She's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I had my blood tests done, and my everything's increasing, which is really, really good.
Okay.
My FSH levels, which used to be at 0, have now come back up to 23, which isn't ideal yet, but we're getting there. Yeah. And I got told that I've got 18 months to decide if I want to have a baby.
Babies. Okay,
yeah,
so you've got 18 months to live. Okay.
So I've got to decide whether or not I want to have a baby in the next 18 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Big call. Yeah, I'm just deciding what I want to have for breakfast in 18 months' time, let alone baby.
You'll still be eating oats. It's fine. Yeah.
Well,
So if there's anybody out there who wants to be a baby daddy.
Oh, put that out on the wire. Alita, looking for a baby
for
daddy.
a sperm donor.
Donate. I've always said, if I got to that point, I'll just adopt, because there's a lot of kids out there that lead a loving home anyway.
Well, it's really hard. I agree, but it's really hard because as a female, I guess, it's our maternal instinct to want to have a baby.
Uh-huh.
However, I went out for lunch with a friend of mine yesterday who's literally due in 3 days, and I was like, you are the best contraceptive ever, because everything that you've been telling me about right now, she was telling me about how you rip when you have babies, and not interested, hey.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely never having childbirth.
Yeah, that was the most tame thing that she said.
Yeah, I was going to say ripping. That was, okay.
Yep,
yeah,
done.
Done. Not the lunch conversation I want to be having.
In all seriousness, though, I have 18 months to decide if I want to freeze my eggs, if I want to try and have a baby, it's pretty.
I feel like it's good news. FH levels are coming up,
Yeah, it's definitely. I was a bit worried that it was going to come back saying, sorry, you're too far gone. So I'm happy about that. I've got 18 months to figure out. Yeah, what I want to do.
Anytime. Lots can happen in 18 months.
How was your week? You had your birthday.
Yeah, I had my birthday. Didn't have any FHS levels or anything like that. No. Went away. It was great. Just this year's one of those years for me. It's just little things just keep happening, and I'm kind of okay, we can just get out of this little funk and just move on now. And I think I'm getting to the end of it. I feel like mentally I'm getting to the end of it, just to be push through it. But birthday was great. 33 feels a lot like 32, just a little bit older. Apart from that, it's been a good week. Pretty mellow, to be honest. Not a lot going on, but I guess
it's not about us.
I'm trying to think of a segue for our guest today, but she definitely has no fertility issues.
She's had more than enough babies.
She's the other half of the Brady bunch. We won't go too far into that whole thing, but would you like to introduce our guest?
So our guest tonight was sleeved back in 2016 with a start weight of 148.5 kilos. Fast forward to 2021, she's maintained a 65 kilo loss, had a tummy tuck, gained a husband from within the community, had a baby to add to her clan that she already had, and managed to somehow find time to work on herself somewhere in amongst all of that. Please welcome tonight none other than the Joe Taylor-Dodd, also known as Joe VSG Fitness Life on Instagram. Hey, Joe.
Hi.
Thank you for sitting down with us. It's good to get the other half of the Brady bunch, the other half of the pack.
Yeah.
We're obviously not going to go. We have learned about the love story between you and Matt, and how you met on the Facebook page, and how it all blossomed. So we're not going to delve too much into that, guys. If you do want to hear about the love story, we did go through it a fair bit with Matt. We want to delve into Joe.
Yeah, you're more than just Matt's wife, so we want to get rid of that label. You're Joe. You're yourself. So
So I guess speaking of bariatric surgery, we have it to lose weight and different things like that. Where did the weight issues start for you? Like, was it young?
Me, I've always been overweight from when I was very little. When we moved to Australia, so I'm actually from the UK. We moved to Australia when I was about 6, and I think when we moved to Australia, there was just so much more convenience here with fast foods and things like that. And because I was from a full-time working family where my mum and dad both worked full-time, we did quite a lot go to convenience foods because of the timings that they worked. And then, it just sort of, it escalates from there as you get older. You just get into those bad habits. So, I can remember when I was in grade 8, I was sort of in the 90 kilo range already. And then it just got bigger and bigger from there. So it probably wasn't until I was in my sort of early 20s, maybe 20, that I started to, go and, I went to Jenny Craig and Weight Watchers and all these different things and start to, try and lose weight a little bit.
Yeah.
And when I was 22, I was with Weight Watchers at the time, and also joined a gym, and I ended up losing about 50 kilos at that point. And got down to a lower weight than what I have been able to now. So I was close to a goal weight, and then I got pregnant with my son. So, and then put it all back on. And then I sort of have just not got back to that point where I was back then. So, I've experienced being sort of a normal size once, maybe for a few months, and then the rest of my life I've just always been overweight and struggled with it.
Yeah, you touched on a couple of good things there. Like, I think the convenience thing hit a bit of a nerve for me when you were talking about convenience food, and I think that's where it definitely escalated for me when I got to a point where I had my driver's license, and you could go to McDonald's and you could eat it in your car, or junk food is one thing. Is like junk food's way cheaper than healthy food and stuff like that. I think that definitely plays a part, especially if you're a lazy person, which I know I'm.
And definitely when you get your first job as well, and you're making your own money, and you can go and you can go and buy it yourself because you've got your own car, and
you've got that freedom.
It's like a sense of freedom.
It's funny too, like, because I did a bit of we got a new freezer this week, and I got really excited because I can meal prep and freeze some food. But the first thing I did was go to the supermarket and buy freezer meals just as a backup. And it's like I could have cooked those same meals for probably cheaper than what I bought the frozen meals for, but it was just the convenience of having it there. So it's just convenience will, unfortunately, it always seems to win out over a lot of other things like nutrition and portion size and all that sort of thing. But you did touch on that you tried Jenny Craig, you tried Weight Watchers, all that sort of thing. What else, were they the main things that you tried? Did you do gym programs? Why were you not successful in them?
So the most successful one was definitely Weight Watchers back when it was, I think they've changed program. They seem to change their programs every couple of years. So there was one particular program that just, it really suited me. And I was going to the gym at the same time, but like I said, I was probably about 22, 23. I didn't have children. I didn't have any commitment. I was at the gym twice a day, 7 days a week. And I had the time. I had the time to be able to prep food and go out and, buy whatever was on my food list and spend time cooking. And so it's definitely having that time made a massive difference.
And energy, I think, when you,
Yeah.
And for those of you who don't know, Joe you've got, between the two of you got 7 kids now?
7 kids, yeah.
Seven kids.
right, old Brady Bunch.
Yeah, wow.
That's a lot of.
Yeah, we've got 4 at home full time, and then Matt's girls come and visit us every couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I can't even look after myself, let alone 7 kids.
That's a huge part. And I had a conversation the other day with someone as well. And being a mum just takes on a whole nother challenge because it, that's right. It was, talking to Tilly, talking to our last guest, Tilly, and, talking about the mum side of things and how her focus went to the kids. It's very hard to prioritize what's important to you and, putting yourself first when you have that other reliant, especially when you have 4 other reliants, it definitely does put a strain on where your focus lies. So yeah, it is something to
and it's funny that you say that too, because I literally tried every diet under the sun. I did the drops under my tongue. I did Weight Watchers. I've done Jenny Craig. I've done F45. Any diet you can possibly think of, I've done, to the point that I even went and got hypnotized to think that I had bariatric surgery. And the follow-up after that hypnotization, is that what you call it? Hypnosis,
sure.
Whatever it was.
Whatever you want to call it.
It was, you had to then hypnotize yourself for 20 minutes a day, every day after that, to sort of stay in the whole hypnosis state. And I didn't even have time to spend 20 minutes a day laying on my bed hypnotizing myself. And I said that to the lady who did it to me. I was like, so can I listen to it in the car on the way to work? And she's like, no, because the hypnosis, you fall asleep and you are not conscious. And I was like, okay, cool, noted.
Driving in a car isn't a good idea.
Yeah, no. So
okay.
that went out the window. I think it lasted maybe a week and a half because I didn't even have 20 minutes to spare to lay down and put my health first.
Yeah.
So I kudos to you for being able to spend even 1 minute preparing yourself when you've got that many other people that you look. And Maddie, I mean, he's like another child anyway. So you've got.
Well, I think we had the same conversation with him actually because he's very time constrained.
Yeah.
He works a lot. Yeah. You're very time constrained. Plays a big part in pre-surgery, after surgery, to how much time you can contribute towards yourself and focusing on your goals. It definitely plays a part because I'm very selfish and sometimes I need to put my head in. I've said that before where I need to put myself in the shoes of someone who's a lot more time constrained. I just have me, and it's very easy for me to be like, find those things that make you happy. And, when you've got other people relying on you, it definitely makes it a lot more of a struggle. And it's about trying to, understand that, the happier you are within yourself, the happier your kids are going to be with who you are. Like kids can sense that. It's an all energy thing, but it's
and without jumping too far forwards to the end of the Q&A session, but one of Joe's answers to one of the responses was what do you wish that you could tell yourself before? And I'm pretty sure your answer was it's okay to be selfish. You're allowed to be selfish. You're allowed to put yourself first. You're allowed to take time out to work on yourself.
And I think that's something that I didn't learn until probably after I met Matt, and he drilled that into me too, that it's okay for me to take time for myself and it's okay for me to say that I want to leave the house for an hour and go to the gym and do something for myself. And before I didn't do that because all I had was the kids and my main focus was to make sure that they had everything that they needed. I wasn't sort of the priority. It was always them first.
It's a maternal instinct. That's all that. Every time you say that, it's easy for a guy to say that because we don't have that whole maternal.
Yeah, but also, Joe, I'm guessing at the time you probably didn't have support from a lot of other people around you either. If you were struggling, if you were juggling 3 kids as a single mum, you wouldn't have had much time
to focus on her.
Yeah,
to focus on anything.
When I was sort of struggling with my weight, I was still married. So it wasn't until I separated that it was a few months later. I think it was about a month later after I separated, I went to a surgeon and booked in, and I was operated on a couple of months later. So it was that same year that and I think that sort of pushed me to do it. Knowing that I'm now a single mother and I have these 3 kids I have to look after and they need to be my priority. So even then I still wasn't doing it for myself. I was doing it for them.
I was literally about to be that was your first step of taking control of your life for yourself, but then you turned around and said, no, I did it for my kids anyway. So
yeah, that's right. So, at the same time, I was doing it for myself, but I didn't realise I was doing it for myself. In my mind, I was doing it for them and to make sure that I was going to be around for them. I think at the beginning, before I had kids, it was always for myself, but then when I had kids, it was everything I was doing was for them and to make sure that they had the best out of me.
Yeah, very selfless. That's a mum.
It's a mum thing.
It definitely is a mum. Like, mums put themselves first. It's a beautiful thing.
Here I sit here going, I don't know if I want to have kids, and then I hear stories like yours, and I was like, I want to have kids. Like, I'm so conflicted. I don't know.
So, Jo, when did you first kind of come around and learn about weight loss surgery, and were you receptive to it when you first learned about it?
I looked into weight loss surgery many years before I actually had it. Before I think I actually had my now second youngest daughter. I think I looked into it before I got pregnant with her. But it sort of wasn't something at the time. And I did go and see a surgeon, but I didn't really like him. And then I think that just put me off. So I sort of just forgot about it. And then I looked into it again not long after she was born and went and saw another surgeon. And I don't think I was fully ready. Because I think when I saw him, he even took before photos and measurements, and we were sort of all ready to go through the whole process. And I never went back. In my head, I wasn't ready to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think then when I got to this point, and I was obviously at my worst, and after my separation, I just went, no, I've got to do it. And I found a surgeon which I absolutely loved, and he was just straight to the point and just gave me everything I needed. And yeah, booked in for a couple of months later, and yeah, I don't regret it at all.
Yeah, when you say like after your separation, it was kind of like the key for you to take that step. What were you seeking to get from having the surgery?
I think I didn't see any other options that I had, because I knew I'd tried everything. I was actually at my heaviest at that point that I'd ever been, and I think it was just it all, and you go through that point in your life where everything just comes to a head, and you just go, what, I've got to fix it all. So after that, I think I just went, no, this is it.
Yeah. That was the way for you
I've got nothing, and I think I was just like, I've got nothing else to lose. If it doesn't work, well, it's just going to be like all the other things that didn't work. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you also had your kids too, that you were, as you said, you were trying to live a healthier and better life for them.
Yeah.
So
you wanted to lose the weight, but you knew by losing the weight it would give you a better quality of life.
Yeah. I think back then when I did it, there wasn't as much. It wasn't. I don't want to say it's popular, but there wasn't as much of it around. I only knew of one other person in sort of, I guess, my close group of acquaintances that I knew that had the surgery, and she'd had great results. But other than that, there was a couple of Facebook groups around it. It might have been that I just didn't know about them. And it wasn't like a massive thing on Instagram back then. When I started, and because the first day I decided to, I think it was the first day I did my pre-op diet, I started my Instagram page. But it wasn't a big thing back then on social media. So there wasn't all of these people that I could look to their results and look up to and look for inspiration. It was sort of, I've just got to figure it out for myself. And then along the way, and especially sort of this last 12 months, it's sort of become a massive thing on social media, and I've been able to connect with a lot of people and see a lot of people's results and see people who have had it done as long as I've had it done and look at their results as well. So it was tough. It was tough not having that sort of support from other people who have had it done as well.
Yeah, who understand.
Yeah.
I think it's like weight loss surgery has come a long way in the last sort of four years. Like, as in a lot more people are talking about it. They're a lot more willing
I
to
think it is
express
becoming
about
a little
it.
bit more accepted.
Yeah,
a little bit more.
Yeah. And then, like, not that we want to compare ourselves to others on social media, because we all say that we don't want to do that. I think it's a very good tool to have, to be like, you know, this person went through this and this person went through this. Like, it's a great inspiration and motivation. And you touched on it earlier as well, though, too, when we first asked you the question about why you wanted to have surgery. Like, you said that you saw 2 or 3 surgeons and you weren't ready to commit. And I think that's a massive thing to sort of point out, because unless you are ready to physically wholeheartedly go into this process, you and I don't want to say you're not going to succeed, but like, you need to be ready to commit. It's not just another diet. It's not just another, it's not a quick fix. It's not like, you need to, and the amount of people that I speak to that's like, oh, I don't think I can do 2 weeks of pre-op. It's like, mate, if you can't do 2 weeks of pre-op, how are you going to live the rest of your life
with
being restricted?
Yeah.
Like, it is like, you hear it all the time. Oh, I've been on a stall for 3 weeks. 3 weeks is not a stall. Like, I don't care who you are. 3 weeks is not a stall. It's just your body adjusting to where you are at the moment. Like, a stall is like 3-4 months at a time.
Yeah. I'm you know, 4.5 years out now, and I've never reached my goal weight after all that time. Even I think I was at my lowest just after my tummy tuck. And then obviously I got pregnant, and I still never reached my actual goal. So I'm still trying. But so it isn't a quick fix. It isn't a miracle thing that, you know, makes you lose weight and get to your goal and makes you fit. And, you know, it's you still got to work just as hard. And I think that's what a lot of people who don't know about the surgery don't really understand.
I wish it was
actually been nice over the years. Yeah, it's nice being over the years, and I was very open about it, especially with work, and talking to people about it, and just explaining to people about it there, and you know, giving them more of an understanding of what it actually is, because they just think it's just, oh, you're having surgery and you'll lose weight, but no, all these other things and all these complications come along with it. So it's good explaining it to those people who don't obviously need surgery, what it's actually about, to give them a better understanding as well.
And I think the thing that plays a part, and I have this conversation quite often, is there are certain people that attack this like a diet and a quick fix. And I think that's, especially in the online society that we live in and stuff like that, it's very easy to kind of see the 50% that are treating it like a diet and perceive that everyone's doing that. But it's also like 50% of people will regain. You know, 50% of people, you know, won't get what they want out of this. So it's like, yes, some people will attack it like a diet, some people will attack it like a lifestyle change, but you get out of it what you put in.
But it is also very deceiving, I guess, because I lost the majority of my weight in the first 12 months, and it came off quite easily. Like, yes, I was still, I was still going to the gym, and I was still, like, I was watching what I was eating, and like, yes, I was like living like I was on a diet, but it was a hell of a lot easier than putting drops under my tongue 5 times a day, or like counting my calories, or going and seeing a Weight Watchers lady like I was an alcoholic. Like, it was definitely a lot easier than that. But it's the things that you put in place in that first year. Like, yes, I lost maybe 40 kilos in that first year. And I always tell people I've managed to maintain around a 60 kilo loss in like over 3 years now. And I'll always say that 30 kilos came off, no questions asked, because of the tool that I had. The next 30 kilos came off because of the lifestyle and the choices that I make every damn day. Like,
the self-conscious habits you developed definitely make a difference. And I think that's that first year is important, not because of the weight you lose, but the habits you implement and the strategies you put in place.
And don't get me wrong, I would have been happy if I had lost 30 kilos and I stopped where I did. But because my goals changed from being just trying to fit into a size 12 clothing, and it started to be, oh no, I want to run faster, or I want to go further, or I want to do this and I want to do that. Like, my body then had to adapt to my goals. Like, you can't run, not that I'm ever going to be a sub 25K runner, but you can't run a sub, well, I don't want to say you can't, but you can't run sub 25, like 5-minute sub 25K if you weigh 130 kilos.
Yeah, definitely.
It would be pretty hard to do it. What made you decide to do the sleeve rather than any of the other surgeries?
I went in to my surgeon and just sort of let him decide. He was actually very against the band.
Mm-hmm.
He refused to do them for anybody. So his options was the sleeve or
bypass.
Yeah. But because of my age, my health, I didn't have any health problems at all. I was just overweight. My health was at 100%. He said there's no need to go as drastic as a bypass. The sleeve will probably be the one that would work for me. So I sort of let him decide what was going to be best for me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, and I'm glad I went with that one. I think the bypass would have been, I may have had second thoughts if he'd suggested that one.
Yeah.
Just it would have sort of been a bit more to think about than the sleeve, because I know there are a lot of long-term complications that can come along with that from just things that I have read previously.
And you said that from seeing the surgeon that you ended up going with and actually having surgery, you only had to wait a few months in between. So did you have private health insurance, or were you?
Yeah, I had. Yeah. So I had private health, and I also drew from my superannuation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a very quick process. I didn't have any problems with that. Back then, that was when the private cover was still sitting under silver cover as well.
Oh, nice.
So it wasn't sitting under gold like it is. It moved, I think, a couple of years ago. And that was the same, I think, when I had my tummy tuck. That was still sitting under. So I actually had my tummy tuck through my same surgeon, because he was a general surgeon. So he did a reconstructive tummy tuck rather than a cosmetic. So I was able to also put that through private health.
Yeah. Well,
Wow,
you
so
had
cool.
you had plastic surgery 2 years post-op.
Yeah.
What did you have? And did you have any complications around the plastic surgery side of things?
Yeah, I just had an abdominoplasty. So it wasn't a cosmetic job. It was just a reconstructive. But he took off. I don't actually know how much took off. It was about 2.5 kilos, I think, of excess skin, which that's where I held all of my excess skin, and a lot of my fat was in my stomach.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do have a couple of really good before and after photos on my Instagram of that one.
Yeah. 'Cause that's the apron, isn't it? The abdominoplastic.
Abdoplasty.
That's the
Yeah.
apron. Yep.
Yeah. So mine, because it was a reconstructive job. When you actually see where he's actually cut down, in the bikini line, but then he's actually had to go up into my side, so it sort of goes up into my hip. So you can see all the scarring with that. So one of the drains that was hitting a nerve. So every time I moved, it just sent a shooting pain.
Oh, gosh.
And I had to have morphine every single time I moved or stood up, went to the shower, anything.
Where were those drains? Are they sort of on your hip sort of area? Is that where the drain is, or?
Yeah, so it was in the it was sitting on each side of my hip. So I think
literally every time you moved.
Yeah, so I think it was the right side one. Every time I got up, I learned to get, because I had a PCA, so yeah, I had to have a morphine shot, then stand up, then it would hit the nerve, and it would still be painful, but not as much. So
What was harder? Weight loss surgery or plastic surgery?
Oh, I was going to say, what was harder, plastics or childbirth?
No, I think childbirth would be out of those things.
Well, I actually had 4 cesareans, so
you're just getting covered open there.
So I would say the tummy tuck is worse than all the cesareans.
Oh, you
Really? Do you know what's funny? I was actually going to
but-
ask you that, because I had a friend of mine who, she has 3 boys, and on her 3rd cesarean, she actually got a tummy tuck for free because her stomach was so loose and flabby that they just gave her a tummy tuck. And I met her before surgery and I was like, oh, so would you ever go in for, plastics or whatever? And she's like, well, I think I'm going to have a fourth kid and I'm going to go cesarean and just hope that they do a tummy tuck for free again.
No, I think you have to
my God.
You have to refill the card. After you have 3 C-sections, you get the free tummy tuck. Yeah, I think that's how it
The loyalty card?
It's a loyalty card, yeah. They do the tummy tuck on the third one. So she's going to have another 2 kids, a few more C-sections. She might get the free tummy tuck thrown in for good.
So you reckon the tummy tuck was worse than the cesareans?
Tummy definitely, and that's something that Matt and I had discussed because when we were discussing if we wanted to have a baby, it was am I going to do it before or after a tummy tuck? And one of the things that I really wanted to do before we got married was to do a tummy tuck because we wanted our wedding to be spectacular, and one of those things was I wanted my dream dress, and to have that I needed to get rid of all this excess skin that I'd had. I couldn't fix some of the other things that I really want to do, but that was the one thing that I needed to get done. And I said, I'll deal with the tummy after a baby. It's not going to be much. And it turned out that it's not really that bad. I could deal with it for the rest of my life, but I'll probably get it fixed at some point.
Yeah.
But compared to what I had, it's nothing.
So you got your fairy tale wedding.
Definitely the tummy tuck was worse than all the course of
Note to self, I'd rather have a C-section.
Okay, so Shan, don't have a tummy tuck. No, just full pregnant, Shan.
Yeah,
it's easier for everybody.
Yeah, I'd rather have 3 C-sections than get a tummy tuck.
But talking about pregnancy, you had 3 babies prior to having weight loss surgery, and you've now had a 4th after. Was there any, can you note anything that was, specifically different during pregnancy after weight loss surgery, or were they much of a muchness for you?
Probably just that I was getting a lot of more heartburn at the time, which, obviously with a lot of people with the sleeve, they get heartburn afterwards. I had a little bit after my surgery, but then it sort of went away. And then the same with pregnancy, because the baby's sitting on your stomach, it creates a lot of heartburn. And I remember having it with the other 3, but definitely not as early on or as bad as what I had it with this one. But then I also carry my babies very high up, and my babies never turn head down, so they always sit very high up on the top of my stomach anyway. Which is why I have to have cesarean.
They don't like to make things easy for you.
They always stay vertical. They're like, nah.
I'm going to come out feet first. It's all good, Mum.
Upside down makes me dizzy.
Because you hear a lot of people get concerned about, they want to have weight loss surgery so it helps them, with the fertility, and try and fall pregnant and all that sort of thing. And then you hear the other side of the scale saying, I'm a bit worried to have children after weight loss surgery because I don't know if I'm going to get enough nutrients because I can't eat enough and all that. So you didn't find that you had any complications through your pregnancy?
Not at all. I was definitely tired, but at the same time I was also trying to raise the other 3 kids and working full time, and I was had just before I got pregnant just started going to the gym. So I still I probably didn't find it any different. I guess because I'd had the sleeve for 3 years, my body has sort of got used to what I'm feeding it now. And I think that's a really important thing is your body just adjusts to what nutrients it is getting. And I did find I could actually eat a lot more when I was pregnant.
Oh, really? Because the baby's eating all the food.
Probably. Yeah, I was finding I was always hungry, but I was always able to eat more. Then as soon as I had her, I went back to not being able to eat as much. So I don't know how that works.
So you were literally eating for 2 because she was just eating everything, and you're like, I can actually eat more.
I was probably eating still small amounts because I still couldn't eat as much, but I was just eating a lot more.
And it was burning quicker. Maybe it's like I always talk about this. Like when I exercise more, I eat more. When you're having a baby, your body's working overtime, so it's like burning your food faster, so you can consume more.
And this is a really bizarre, I don't know, weird question to ask, but One of our other friends at the moment, she's pregnant and she has recently had her abdo done as well. And she's been saying that it feels quite different this time and like there's not quite as much room for her to stretch because her stomach, like she's only not even a year out from her plastics. Like you've had a tummy tuck. Did you feel the same way or is it just because she's so fresh out of plastics?
No, I definitely felt more this time. I actually really enjoyed pregnancy because except towards the end, sort of when I was getting a bit over it then, but this time I felt like I was pregnant and not just fat, because before when I was pregnant with the other three, I was also overweight. So I just looked like I'd put more weight on. I never looked pregnant. So I really enjoyed the stretched tummy thing because I never got to experience that with the other three.
You were like, hey guys, I'm pregnant. Look at my belly. Look at it.
So I think, I really enjoyed, I enjoyed wearing some tight jeans and a really tight top and going, my belly's here.
Yeah.
I never got to do that and I never felt confident doing that with the other three. So I enjoyed that part of it and, I knew it would come with a, bit of loose skin at the end but I just tried to enjoy it as much as I could.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of people out there because, as Alita just said before, a lot of people have weight loss surgery in the hopes that losing the weight will help them with fertility and stuff like that. So, obviously being someone who's had a baby, there was no complications that came around for you to do with weight loss surgery and having a baby?
No, nothing that had anything directly related to the surgery at all.
I think that's a good thing to know because I think a lot of people I tried to listen to a fertility thing about bariatric surgery and they didn't really go into much depth about it, but I guess the best person to tell you about if there's going to be complications or anything to be concerned about with bariatric surgery is someone who's had a baby after bariatric surgery, So Joe's done it. It's fine. Yeah. Go get knocked up. Have fun.
As far as I know, though, I think as long as you are out of your 12 to 18 month period, because that's what I've heard, like you need to wait, hopefully. Like if you fall pregnant beforehand, it's not the end of the world. But from what I've heard, you've got to wait the sort of 12 to 18 months before falling pregnant because that's when you've sort of settled into your bariatric surgery and you're actually getting the right amount of nutrients and all that sort of thing so you can go forth with pregnancy without too many complications. So, but I took my mum.
I've heard that same sort of thing, but because it has a lot to do with also you're losing a lot of weight, which you shouldn't do when you're pregnant, and that also because that can cause some problems with the baby. So I think it's just important if you do that you just have a really good doctor and obstetrician or a nutritionist and just really focus on that sort of thing as well, because it can become very dangerous.
I took my mum
a lot of weight during pregnancy.
I took my mum into the surgeon with me, not because I wanted to ask all the questions that I forgot, but because I was like, I don't want to have to convince my mum that this is the right thing for me. Like if she hears it straight from the surgeon's mouth, and all the questions that she asked was to do with childbirth. And I was like, do you not want to know anything about the surgery? And Mum was like, so what happens when she wants to fall pregnant? What happens when she's breastfeeding? What happens with this? And I was like, wow, okay, Mum, you clearly want me to be a mother. Like this was 3 years ago. And I was like, I don't even know what you're talking about. But it's good to know that like there are, like it's not, I've obviously gone the opposite way. I think because of I was exercising way too much, so to speak, and I had a dramatic weight loss. I went the opposite, and I did put myself into post-menopausal state, which I think again is quite good. You
can't conclude that though. Like that is like biology is we're very complicated.
No, but I think it's a good thing to bring awareness to. Like a lot of people go into weight loss surgery with the idea that if they lose the weight, they will become fertile.
Not being. I don't think be aware of it.
Yes, be aware of it.
It's not concerned.
Not a concern.
People shouldn't be out there being like, oh, I'm not going to go to the gym this week because, I might not be able to have that baby I want in 2 years. I think it's just be aware of it. Go have those tests. The pH.
But my surgeon never told me that. Like my mum was literally sitting there asking him questions, and never once did they say, if you lose too much weight too quickly, you could throw your hormones off balance.
Yeah, so be aware.
Be aware of it. I'm not saying that it's a complication, that it's going to happen to everybody. Like, clearly it doesn't. a lot of people actually, the one thing that he actually said to me is, after weight loss surgery, you were super fertile. So I got told the complete opposite to what actually happened to me. So I think it's something that you need to be aware of. It shouldn't be a concern, but it's something like everything. You need to be aware of every complication.
Yeah, ask questions. And that's what we got last week, from Tilly's. It's like
and from Teagues, ask questions.
Ask questions. I think it's very important. Think outside the box, not just in the realm of what you're thinking. Think outside that box where you want to go and just make sure you're educated.
Yeah.
I think it's very key.
So you said you said that your biggest hurdle so far since having surgery has been trying to accept your body after your last pregnancy. Talk us through this. What do you mean by this?
I think now that my body, I'm actually liking my body shape more after pregnancy than I did after my tummy tuck. It's sort of settled into, I guess settled into itself now. But now I'm starting to, and now I'm back at the gym and I'm sort of working towards a few things there. I'm starting to notice other things on my body that I really need to do, like my legs and my arms and my chest and even sort of my chin and things like that. So I'm really starting to. I was so focused on getting the tummy done and then focused on pregnancy, and now that's all over. I'm really struggling with all these other things. So I think I've just got to look at it one thing at a time, and just sort of decide what I always wanted to get all these other things done, but they never really bothered me as much as what they have sort of started to now that I'm starting to sort of get a focus of what I want to achieve, with my working out and fitness and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it definitely takes a toll. And I've always said this for females. This process is a lot harder for females, mums, and different things like that because of the whole hormonal factor. Especially when you weigh yourself, like for females, like one day you can weigh yourself and then you're during a certain hormonal period and then you're holding a lot of fluid or whatever it is, or you go through pregnancy. That's a huge one.
Yeah.
That just throws your body into chaos. So it's very hard, like especially when you go through weight loss surgery, you have a kid and then to, gain the weight because you're feeding your child, you're doing the most amazing thing by creating a life. So your body's going through this whole thing of like feeding it and it's the priority and stuff like that to then going back to the whole weight loss thing where you kind of like having to refocus on, yourself and your body and you're like, like my body went through this whole process and then having to like kind of rein it all back in.
And it is such a mental thing that you go through when you, especially once you've had the plastics and then you get pregnant. It's such a mental thing that you just work through every day of watching your body get bigger and, you're purposely doing it and you're putting on weight and, you've just got to keep telling yourself, it's okay, it's all right. And now after pregnancy, I'm still way off, my pre-pregnancy weight. Well, probably not way off, but I might be, I think, about 7 or 8 kilos off my pre-pregnancy weight, and then I'm still nowhere near my goal. So it's still just a constant mental battle.
Yeah.
Your daughter's only 14 weeks old, isn't she?
She's nearly 5. She's 4.5 months.
Oh, hang on. I thought you said 14 months old before. Hang on. How many? Is that close to that? I don't know. I don't work with months.
4, 8, 12. It's like, 2.
But she's still 3 months. Yeah.
She's still quite young though. Like so.
She is, and I've only really just started to, I guess, take my fitness a bit more seriously. Probably the last maybe 6-7 weeks.
Yeah.
And that's what I keep telling myself. It'll eventually just all fall into place.
And keep your head in a good place, I think, is key. Like, because it's very hard, to compare to where you were pre-surgery body-wise.
Yeah.
But, at the end of the day, you have a baby,
a healthy baby.
A healthy baby. And, there's no time restrictions on when you need to get to where you want to be. The biggest thing is, atomic habits. The British Olympic team won the Olympics because of atomic habits. Small changes over a long period of time created a huge difference to the point where they became, you know, of a superpower. So it's the same as, you know, atomic habits. Implement those little habits, no time restraint. Sometimes I feel like with this process, we're in a little bit of too much of a rush. We're like expecting results automatically, quick, smart. Otherwise, we feel down about ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important sometimes to just rein it back in and be like, there's no time constraints. The most important thing is I'm in a good headspace, and I'm making those little habits. I'm changing those little things, not huge things, just those tiny things to get to where I actually want to be. I think it's very important.
And you have your own personal cheer squad at home half the time because like Maddie, I can only imagine that he would be your little hype girl over there in the hype boy.
Hype boy.
Little hype boy. Like, have you found that having somebody who is also on the same process as you, like he's just gone through his plastics as well, so you've obviously been able to help him through his plastics. Do you guys just bounce off each other? Like, do you think it's helped you both going through a similar thing?
Yeah, I think it helps. You know, I had my sort of surgery, you know, tummy tuck first, and then it helped. He had his about a month later, so you know we sort of knew what to expect, and we both knew what to expect with his last one he's just had. But yeah, he's always picking me up when I'm having a down day, and I hope that I do the same for him when he's having a bit of a down day. So it does help that we're both going through the same process.
So if he's going to follow suit, he's going to fall pregnant next, right? That's how it works.
Yeah.
We had a saying last year that if you come on Barry Banter, you fall pregnant.
Once. It's like we can't expect we can't turn to do a thing because it's like, you know,
twice. It happened
once. Yeah. So it's not becoming good. If Maddie falls pregnant, you guys are rich. Just saying. Yeah, I think the key thing to take away from that is teamwork makes the dream work. Like I think that's what works with you guys is support's really key towards this. Whether it's you know,
it is.
Plastic surgery, having a baby, having weight loss surgery, support is key. Whether it's with your partner, with your family,
and communication, and just talking about where you want to be, and that's it.
Because you can gauge where that person wants to be, where you want to be, and whether it aligns and pushes on the right path. So I think it's very important, and I think that's what you guys have nailed.
From talking from Maddie a couple of weeks or however many weeks ago it was, like that was the one thing. He just said that you guys connected and you spoke about everything and you guys like just talked and you understood each other. So like I feel like you guys are like this little power couple because you're just working together and you're supporting each other. And as you said, like he was the first person to be like, no, stop. You need to put time into yourself. Like it's not selfish. You need to do this for yourself. Like, and that's amazing for a partner to say that to you and for you to then actually have that time to do it for yourself.
I think the key element there is it's a really important thing for a male to say to a female. Like a strong man wants a strong woman. Like I think too often in this society, men want a soft woman, someone they can stand over. And Maddie clearly wanted you to be a woman that stood up for yourself, had self-respect. And that says a lot about him as a man. I think as a man, you want to build your woman up. You want to put her on a pedestal. You want to make him feel, you know, beautiful, strong, independent, because you're secure within yourself. Yeah. So I think that's, you know, for me, every time I hear that story with Maddie, I'm like, you know, clearly he loves you because someone who loves someone wants them to feel important. So yeah,
that's right. Yeah, we both I think are at a point now where we, you know, he needs to remind me a lot of the time to still be selfish, and that, you know, I'm getting a lot better at it now, I think. So I hope I am.
You're like, I'm nailing the selfish thing. Like, I deliberately go out of my way to be selfish now. It's great.
Like, stuff the 7 kids, stuff Maddie. I'm going to Costco by myself.
Today is my selfish day. I'm getting my nails done. You taught me this, Maddie. You taught me this.
Also, give me your credit card so I can go do it.
What is next for Joe? What's on the cards? Do you have any plans moving forward?
At the moment, I just sort of am taking everything week by week. You know, it's been tough being on maternity leave. I've had a lot more time where I've been able to go to the gym every morning and spend a bit of time there, and, you know, put baby in the crèche, and I've had that sort of bit of me time. But yeah, I'm going back to work in 2 weeks, so it's going to be a bit of an adjustment. So that will probably be my focus for a little while, is just trying to get it back into a routine. The kids are in school, my son's starting high school. Just figuring out when I'm going to actually get time to get to the gym and do those things for myself, and still spend time with the kids and still be able to see Matt before he goes to work. and spend time together. So that's sort of, the sort of things I'll be focusing on straight away. And then in the next couple of years, I want to look at the rest of my plastics. It's definitely not going to be in the next 12 months, but, maybe 18 months to 2 years. But that gives me time to, look for a surgeon, find someone I'm comfortable with, and do all those sorts of research things and figure out how much money it's all going to cost me in the end as well.
Yeah, I think it's really important. Definitely finding the right person. But it just sounds like, I think the biggest thing for you is to become a time management expert, because I think time is something that's very important for you. And by the sounds of that, managing it is probably going to be the biggest struggle for you moving forward.
One thing that I would really like to point out, and it's what I love, is that, okay, so you are obviously, your happy place is the gym. You want to go to the gym, you want to focus on the gym, you like strength and you like being there. Obviously, Maddie goes to the gym as well, but from what we heard when we spoke to him and from what I see in his socials, he's really passionate about like trail running and mountain climbing and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I love that you guys have got your own separate passions, but you clearly like support each other in your own like little journeys. And the only reason why I thought of that was because I was like, oh, I really look forward to seeing you and the whole family when you all come up, because Maddie signed up for, I don't know what distance he's going to do yet, but he's promised us that he's doing Blackall this year. So I was like, we'll see the whole family. And I was like, oh, hang on a second, maybe you'll be running with us. And I was like, no, hang on. Joe's into the gym, whereas Maddie's into running and trails and mountains and everything. And I think that's a really beautiful thing that you guys can both do different things and still support each other through it.
I think it's really important. I think for a healthy relationship, you need to, as I've talked to you about before, is, you should always have your individual, who you are as a person. Doesn't mean you can't be one as a person together. I think losing your identity and who you are is something very important.
Yeah, and there are, there's been times where I have gone, I'll go on a little hike with him. I think we went on one last weekend, which was good. And I'll do, if there's some little things where I go, okay, I could probably come and do that with you. But running's definitely not an interest of mine at all. I don't enjoy it. I think you've got to really enjoy it to do it.
Yep.
I'm really not much of an outdoorsy type girl. But I will always try something new. I really enjoy doing those little, slow hikes up, Mount Cooper that we went up. And so there are things like that where I'll go, I'll give it a go and I'll try it. But I definitely don't have the passion that he's got for that sort of thing. I would rather, go in the gym and, do a couple of hours of doing some weights and do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, making that effort for each other, though, is very important too. Like, I always look forward to, 5K away, Maddie and you and with the family, you get out and you do your little family outings and stuff. And I think that,
that's what it's all about.
It may be a hard effort for you to make. I can see, as much as, your daughter sometimes really doesn't seem entertained, you really make an effort for it. So I think that's, it's really good, not just for you, for them as well.
And I love that you guys obviously support each other enough that, like, if you want to go to the gym, he'll look after the kids while you're at the gym. If he wants to go for a run or whatever, you look after the kids while he's like, it's just a really, you guys have got it nailed, really.
Getting there.
Yeah.
Getting there.
Working on it.
Anyway, that is, all we've got for young Joe. It was a pleasure to sit down with you and have a chat. It was actually great to hear the other half of the Brady bunch.
When we asked you what was next, I was kind of half expecting you to be like, well, we want to turn it into 8 instead of 7.
Oh, jeez. The kids are off, done. That's it. You're done with kids. That's it.
Yeah, it was always only going to be one, and Matt would kill me if I said, let's have another one. So, no.
Oh, you don't know what the future holds.
Definitely, that's the end. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Joe. It's been an absolute pleasure to sit down with you.
You guys you yourself are an amazing woman, and the two of you together are a power couple. So thank you for sitting down for another episode of Bari Banter.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Why, yes, that is another episode of Barry Banter in the books. We hope you got a little something from that one.
Head on over to Facebook or Instagram and check us out, or go to baribanter.com where you can watch past episodes, give us feedback, and let us know who you want to hear from next.
We love you all, and as always, please stay beautiful.